Hey, it's me, Nalthazar, and welcome to another Magic the Gathering Puzzle Quest video. In this video, I'm going to be going over a brand new Planeswalker entering the vault with Zendikar Rising, Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients. So, let's get into it. Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients, or Nahiri 2 for Puzzle Quest's sake, is a brand new red-white Planeswalker. Nahiri's three abilities revolve around tokens, reinforcements, and equipment, and her mana bonuses are the same as Nissa of Shadowed Bows, which also came out in this set, just with a slightly different allocation for the colors. So she's got +4 to red, +4 to white. Her third color is black with +2 to black, and then she's got -1 to both green and blue. This is at level 60. Her three abilities, Skyclave Army, Core Lithomancy, and Blade of the Ancients, are going to work as follows. Skyclave Army at level 60 is going to create 4 core ally tokens. Those ally tokens count as core, ally, soldiers, and warriors. And as we have both a soldier and a warrior leader in this set, that is significant. You're also going to create a utility knife token. That utility knife is an artifact, it is an equipment, and it will count toward equipment abilities and objectives. The second ability, Core Lithomancy, is going to fetch the first warrior creature and the first equipment support from your library. Those cards gain half their mana. Then that warrior gains bravery and first strike, and the equipment gains resilient. And the third ability, Blade of the Ancients, is absolutely what's going to make this Planeswalker. You're going to create a Blade of the Ancients token. This token is going to have 4 shields, it's resilient, and at the beginning of combat on your turn, reinforce your first creature X times until end of turn. X is the number of other creatures and other creature reinforcements you control. It also has, when your first creature attacks, you deal damage to any opposing target equal to the number of equipment supports and equipment support reinforcements you control on the board. Then if you have a full party, you're going to destroy each non-support gem. Now this Blade of the Ancients is absolutely wacky and filthy. It is unbelievably powerful. It is kind of like Luca's third ability in that you use it and you just win the game, but it's definitely stronger than Luca's third ability, which is kind of surprising to say because Luca's third ability is bananas. But Nahiri somehow beats it. So there's a few things to note about the ability. So the first thing is, just with how it works right now, where it says reinforce your creature X times until end of turn, X is the number of other creatures and reinforcements you control. When you lose those reinforcements, it only counts as losing 1 reinforcement. It's like you're losing a reinforcement stack, so you're just losing 1 reinforcement. I don't know if that's intended or not, but let's say that you were to reinforce your first creature 20 times. It's not going to count as if it loses 20 reinforcements for cards that have abilities based on you losing reinforcements. It'll only trigger those abilities once. That being said, it does not in any way care if those creatures and reinforcements are tokens. So if you play a token-heavy deck using Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients, you can buff your first creature up to absolutely ridiculous levels. I had a match where I was using Akeem, and this ability with 1 Akeem out, I had 1 Akeem out, that's it. And it boosted Akeem to over 400 power in that turn, just because of how much this reinforces your creatures based on the number of tokens. So given that white is one of our, it is our strongest token color, really, right? I mean, you could make an argument for Nissa, Worldwaker, and green, but white is an incredibly strong token color. And so as a result, this is just an absolutely amazing ability to have on a red-white walker. Her first ability, Skyclave Army, is also surprisingly, really good, especially in conjunction with her third ability. So creating those 4 core ally tokens means that then when you have Blade of the Ancients down, you're going to go ahead and reinforce your first creature 4 times for every time you use that first ability. So if you're having a hard time getting your 3 different creatures down, you use Skyclave Army, and then voila, you basically kill your opponent. If you think of Nahiri 1, Nahiri 1's third ability is going to reinforce a creature of your choice 4 times until end of turn for 15 loyalty. Whereas with new Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients, you're going to, with the combination of the third and the first ability, be able to reinforce that first creature 4 times every turn. Like, the level of power that this one has compared to previous Nahiri is staggering. Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients, is an absolute beast. Now, in the gameplay, and so in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys what Nahiri looks like at level 30, and I'm going to show you what Nahiri looks like at level 60, so that you can get a good feel for how Nahiri will be for you if you choose to get her. Now, I'm put her at 30 and 60 because, let's face it, not everyone has 160,000 runes to dump into Nahiri to level her up to level 60 just out the gate. And Nahiri, make no mistake, is very powerful in the hands of either a newer player or a player with a more complete collection. So let's go ahead and jump into some of that gameplay. So game 1 here is going to be with level 30 Nahiri. And with level 30 Nahiri, I tried to pretend that I was a little bit newer to the game, so I didn't let myself use Mythics and Masterpieces in this deck. The next deck that I show you guys will indeed be using Mythics and Masterpieces. I just wanted to give you guys a fair idea of how the new Nahiri actually plays, regardless of what your collection really looks like. Now, the goal for me with this deck was to try and utilize Nahiri's third ability and the leader mechanic behind Kargan War Leader. So Kargan War Leader is a warrior leader, so it's going to be able to eat up the tokens from Nahiri's first ability, and it's also going to be able to eat up the tokens from the Nahiri Vanguard, which is going to make 2 of those little tokens. You'll see that from there I prioritized gem conversion and some removal so that I could try and get myself to those abilities more quickly. Nahiri is a planeswalker that absolutely thrives on being able to use her abilities. They are very, very strong. And so you'll see that the land forming here is coming in big time handy. Like I'm getting so much conversion going that I don't really feel like I'm using a lower level planeswalker in a way. Normally when you're using a lower level planeswalker, you're going to feel like you're being constricted a lot more just because your mana gains are pretty low. But here I really didn't feel it that strongly. So I'm going to prioritize pumping out as much gem conversion as I can. Getting my little dwarf tokens here is actually really nice because my opponent is going to disable them, which means they're going to be able to stay on the battlefield. And right there, drawing Kabira Takedown means that I could actually, if I wanted to, go ahead, play Kabira Takedown on the Goliath and have it kill itself on my little dwarves. But nonetheless, I want to go ahead, take a look at what I have. Let's see, so there's some removal, we've got a defender, we've got the takedown. Yeah, I'm going to want to get rid of a Nahiri Vanguard. I only need 1 because we're going to be pumping the first ability. And then I get to choose between the takedown and the pathway. So I'm actually going to go ahead, move the pathway to the top of my hand here, and I'm going to play the pathway. I'm going for the pathway because I'd rather have 2 lands than 1. And so in playing the pathway, I know that I'm going to lose the dwarf here, but that's really not that big of a deal. I'm trying to make a play to get to my third ability with Nahiri. Now, I might actually go for my first ability and then my third ability so that I can use the takedown. And then that will actually get me yet another land, which would be pretty sweet. But I think I actually wait a turn or 2 on that. Because if I get the Nahiri Vanguard down, then I can make a much thicker token. And I've got a really nice match there on the bottom. And I've actually got that red-white match, which is pretty solid up top. So I've got a lot of really great mana options here. And so I'm going to go ahead and take that red-white match into the loyalty, just trying to build up a cascade, get the Nahiri Vanguard down. And so with that Vanguard down, I can now start pumping out tokens, which means that if I can start pumping out tokens and get my third ability down, then this is just absolutely game over. Nahiri's abilities, I mentioned it before, they're devastating. They are so incredibly powerful. So I've actually got my third ability, so I'm going to use it here. I'm going to start making my core ally tokens, and so those are going to start coming down. I'm going to use Kabira's Takedown. I'm going to let the Kythian's Irregulars go down, and I'm going to use Dire Tactics to wipe my opponent's side of the board, which should ensure that Kythian's Irregulars are going to live. And so even though the Irregulars aren't going to attack this round, you're going to get your first taste of what happens with Nahiri's third ability out. So look at that. They're already pumping up to 18. And I know you might be thinking, my dude, Nalthazar, 18? You're saying 18? But yes, there's a good reason for that, right? So here I can use my first ability. It's going to make 3 more of these tokens. I'm going to be able to play the Kargan War Leader this turn. I'm going to be able to use Nahiri's ability for 2 more of those tokens. And so you're actually going to see the true power of Nahiri's third ability here. So nothing that I have on the battlefield is really that intimidating. I have a 6/5 and I have a 7/7. So I have 13 damage on the battlefield. And in playing the War Leader, I have 6 damage. But boom, 6 becomes 54. Look at that. Oh my gosh, guys, it's Nahiri's third. Just, he buffs up so fast. So deadly. All right, so I'm obviously going to go ahead, use the Vanguard ability here, get 2 more tokens. I've actually got 2 more irregulars in my hand. Ideally, I can play at least one of them here. And then the irregulars themselves, that was actually kind of perfect. Getting a 5 match there means I can use the first ability again and get a few more of those core tokens. So you're going to see that I'm going to win the game this turn. Actually. So it might not look like it. You might be like, what, really? But yeah, these irregulars are going to bump up into the 90s and add the 39 from the War Leader, and that's it. So as you can see, even if you don't have the biggest collection, this still max on them. So let's check out the big boy cards. So with the big boy cards here, I decided to actually go for a token build around Akeem the Soaring Wind. So Akeem makes it so that anytime a token enters the battlefield that doesn't have flying, you make 3 cat tokens. And so that means that Elspeth Sun's Champion, which makes 3 tokens, is actually going to be making 12 tokens. And Elspeth Sun's Nemesis, which also can make, I believe, 3 tokens, is also going to make 12 tokens, which means that every time that we're able to be using the Elspeths to get tokens, our Akeem is going to become an absolute filth mongrel powerhouse. Like it's nutty, like completely and totally nutty. So here I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to check out which of my supports is starting to run low. I definitely want to have Whirlwind of Thought up, and I've already got my third ability. If you have Whirlwind of Thought and you can deploy it in New Nahiri, you will very much enjoy yourself. You get to your third ability so quickly, and then you're able to start spamming off your first ability more reliably, which means you're just going to be getting a whole bunch of tokens on the battlefield. And so here on this turn, you'll notice I didn't actually activate Elspeth. I didn't start making the tokens, and that was because at this point in the match, I wanted to get an Akeem. I didn't want to have the tokens in the first slot. But then, of course, I get the Akeem, and the first thing I do is, oh my gosh, I can make cool stuff happen. And I done goof and make the tokens. Now, I'm saying that I done goof and make the tokens because I'm going to have to kill them with Nahiri's first ability now to put Akeem in the first slot. Your creature needs to be in the first slot that you're trying to reinforce. So you don't want the creature with all your reinforcements in the first slot. You want you want something else in the first slot. So I'm going to go ahead and use Nahiri's Lithoforming. I'm just sort of hoping that it gives me a little bit of mana here and a little bit more loyalty, which it absolutely does. I'm going to let my Elspeths drop onto the field, and now hopefully with my gem conversion this turn, I can get Akeem down, and that's exactly what I can do. So I'm going to go ahead, make more Elspeth tokens. Why not at this stage, right? I mean, I'm getting Akeem down here anyways, and then I'm going to go ahead and prioritize another Akeem. I do want the other Elspeth to come down just so that I can make as many tokens as possible, since the rare Elspeth is a minus for making the tokens. It's a -3. And so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take myself this super, super, super sweet red match, which gets me the Akeem. And then this next turn, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use Nahiri's first ability to make the tokens that Nahiri makes, the core ally tokens, and then I'm going to replace my human tokens. So I'm going to play the Skyclave army, and then I'm going to replace those with the catbirds. And so here's where you'll see that this is supposed to make 4 tokens, but instead it's going to make me 12 cats along with the 4 core soldiers. And then after the cats come in, I'm actually going to activate both of my Elspeths and in activating both of my Elspeths, I'm going to go ahead and get 6 more tokens for the humans, which means I'm going to be getting 18 more cats, which means I'll have 24 tokens down, which means that Akeem here is going to reinforce 24 times, and that's going to be game over, really, because 24 reinforcements on Akeem is 168 added damage. So I think Akeem will hit 175 power unless I'm doing my math wrong, which could be possible. It's pretty late my time as I'm doing this recording, but this will definitely be game over. And so this just sort of gives you an idea of like how powerful the third ability really is. Like, okay, I was totally off. It's super dead. Oh my gosh, 260 for one card. Oh my goodness. All right, well, let's talk about Nahiri a little bit. So for my final thoughts on Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients, Nahiri is, to me, a planeswalker that's going to be either an A tier or an S tier planeswalker. You can make a very valid argument for her being just as strong as Kalemni. I have not been allowed to test Nahiri in PvP, so I'll need to do that before I make my final determination, but I have Luca as an A tier planeswalker, and Luca is a mono-colored walker. And I think that Nahiri is better than Luca. So if Nahiri is better than Luca, Nahiri has an extra color in white, then that makes Nahiri at least an A tier in my books, maybe even S. So what Kalemni does, if you're unfamiliar with Kalemni is going to actually go ahead and make your creatures with power 14 or mana cost 14 or greater stronger, and then you're going to make this Greater Giant's Triumph that's going to make your creatures, like your big creatures, like hit even harder. Whereas Nahiri is like sort of the inverse. Instead of having your big creatures do more, you're making your tokens make things do more. And so Nahiri is more of a token planeswalker, whereas Kalemni is more of like a thick creature planeswalker. That being said, I mentioned earlier that white is an absolutely phenomenal color for tokens, and that does not change in this set. We still don't have the mythic spell, the exclusive that's going to put in, I want to say, 18 tokens or something, which means that with Nahiri, that's going to be 18 reinforcements or something. It's either 12 or 18. I think it's 18. But it's just ridiculous, guys. Like, if you can start getting tokens down, which is not difficult, you just do such terrible things. Her third ability, this Blade of the Ancients, is just so strong. It's so strong. Now, as to whether or not I think you should get Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients, right? I'm very high on Nahiri. But that being said, if you don't mind buying bundles in the vault, if that's not like a big issue to you, if the price point for them, Nahiri's going to be about I'm guessing $30. She'll be the same price, I'm guessing, as Nissa of Shadowed Bows. I don't know for sure. I'm guessing, but this is a very educated guess. I'm guessing she'll be $30. So whatever your currency is for the dual color walkers. So if that price point isn't a big deal to you, then Nahiri is absolutely worth buying. If you're a person who is free to play, so you're wondering, should I get Nahiri for my crystals? That's a little bit harder of an answer, because with the way that the new daily events are shaping out to be, we're getting generally less resources than we were before, and so it's just by a little bit. And so in getting Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients, for your crystals, it means that you don't already have a planeswalker that fulfills her role. Now, do I ultimately think you should get her? Yes, I absolutely do. It might even be worth, if you're a free-to-play player, waiting until the holiday sale and seeing if she'll be on sale. Then she would be somewhere around 440 crystals instead of 650. But this planeswalker it's so strong. She is such a powerhouse. You absolutely want to ultimately get your hands on her, especially if you have cards that generate tokens. Like, I've been blown away by how strong Nahiri, Heir of the Ancients is. She's that strong. So I hope that you've enjoyed this. I hope this helps you determine if you want to get Nahiri for yourself, or at the very least how you want to get Nahiri, because like I said, I definitely think you should get her. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.